It's time for another edition of Lewis at Large, 60 minutes of smart talk radio featuring guests from all walks of life in conversation with your host, Warner Lewis. So sit back and lend us your ears for the next hour. Now here with today's first guest is the host of Lewis at Large, Warner Lewis.
Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Lewis at Large. Here's truly Warner Lewis from the flight deck, and of course that means some smart talk radio is in your future. In this segment, got a good one. We're going to be talking to Kute Blackson, rather. My gosh, it's early in the morning. He's a revolutionary teacher, speaker, and entrepreneur. Is highly sought after by major companies to inspire their employees, to help them redefine their paradigm of success, as well as clients from all walks of life. He's created the unique Liberation Experience, which he travels with an individual client across India for 14 days, along with a group process called Boundless Bliss, the Bali Breakthrough Experience, and much other brand new work called You Are the One. Should be an interesting talk indeed. Mr. Blackson, how are you, my friend?
Great to be here, Warner. Been looking forward to it.
Well, we're happy to have you here. Let's do this. Let's give our Lewis at Large listeners a little bit better background on Kute Blackson, and what got you into the line of work of working with people and helping them reach their full potential.
Sure. In a nutshell, I was born in Ghana, West Africa. My father's from Ghana. My mother's Japanese. I grew up in London. My first memories were literally two things. I always felt a deep calling. It was just an innate feeling that I was here to help people and make a difference. It was a burning desire inside of my heart since literally age 5. But I remember one of my first memories literally was seeing being a chubby kid lost in the crowd in Ghana, West Africa, and seeing a crippled woman crawling on the floor, and she literally picked up the sand. The man walked on, wiped it on her face, and stood up. And so week after week, believe it or not, I grew up seeing miracles, blind people seeing, deaf people hearing. And this man was my father, and he had 300 churches in Ghana, one huge church in London. So age 8, I started speaking in my father's churches. Age 14, I was ordained as a minister, given a mandate to take over with a lot of pressure and hopes on me from all of his followers. But I knew that wasn't my path. I knew I had a different path. I thought I had a different calling. But so as a kid, I started reading, a lot of self-help books from all the greats who have even endorsed my book, Jack Canfield and Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and, Barbara DeAngelis, John Gray, all these folks. And this was my inspiration. I was always a curious kid. I wanted to understand life and who are we, why we're here, what's the purpose of life. Is it just to wake up, go to sleep, have sex, make babies, go on a vacation and die? I always thought surely there must be a little more to life than that. So I basically ended up leaving the church. I didn't feel that was my path, and came to America, won a green card in the lottery, and I came to America, and I wanted to find some of my mentors, some of the icons who I'd been reading about were my heroes, and came and found them, learned from them, studied with them, traveled the world in search of some of these answers. Went from everywhere to Israel, studied with the rabbis, to Thailand, studying with the monks, to Bali, Indonesia, to India, and that's what took me to India. And my life has really been a quest of trying to understand what it takes to be ourselves fully and live an authentic life. And about 15 years ago, I began coaching people and working with people, and they got amazing results. And I have clients in something like 26, 28 countries at this point. So that was a little bit of the journey that got me here.
Describe a little bit for our listeners the kind of people that you work with. Young, old, rich, poor, business, non-business. Share that with us.
Yeah, young, old, black, white, green, orange, no matter what affiliation. At the deepest level, I believe we're all the same. Underneath the physical body, we all breathe the same breath. We all want the same things. I get to travel the world to everywhere from the slums in India, which in India has impacted my life profoundly, to Africa, to Europe, to Italy, to England. And I think at the deepest level, we all want the same things. So people come to me when they're usually ready for a breakthrough. People come to me when they're feeling like perhaps the life I'm living is not the life I'm meant to be living. Perhaps there's something more. People come me when they're asking themselves the question, what is my purpose? How do I find my purpose? And so they want to go to the next level in their lives. And what I found is we all want to love. We all want to be loved. We all want to make a difference and find meaning in our lives. And that's really what I help people do is reconnect with who they really are. Because I think for so long we've been told by our parents, we've been told by the media, we've been told by, the magazines and social media and everyone around us from our school, this is who you are, this is who you should be this way, be nice, be this way, believe that. And I think many times when we're not really in touch with who we are, we end up creating a life that might be great, it might be wonderful, but many times my clients feel like, and I think many of us might be able to relate, like, is there more? And so I help people get in touch with who they are so they can identify that more and live a life that is inspired by that authentic living, so to speak.
If you just joined us, yours truly, Warner Lewis from the flight deck of Lewis at Large Radio, talking to Kute Blackson. Interesting work indeed, called You Are the One. All about inspiring you, helping you understand and get a clearer vision of what kind of opportunities and unique possibilities are out there for you. I am a little bit curious as to, in your opinion, with so much information and so much sharing that goes on in the internet and across online, do you think people have more opportunity to do research about what could possibly inspire or be a path for them, or does it just make it all more confusing?
I think over the years I think technology has made accessible to us today a tremendous amount of information. Information is, increasing at such a rapid rate. Right now, a Maasai warrior in Kenya has as much information at the tip of his hand in a smartphone as, let's say, the president did, in the late 80s. So this is an incredible thing if we're willing to recognize the opportunity and use technology, use information to help us evolve, to help us learn, to help us grow, to help us research. I think it's great, but many times we're allowing technology to use us. We're being inundated with information, technology, social media, and what have you. It's all over, and I look around and, technology, smartphones, tablets, what have you, it's becoming like an extension of us. And the downside of that is we get addicted. And we get addicted to the technology. We can't live without the technology. I mean, most people these days, they can't even go to I saw a man, literally, I've done it myself. I'm taking a pee with my iPhone, reading my email. So the downside is it can become a distraction to us. And I think when we're so outward focused on things outside the internet, looking, researching videos, what have you, it can disconnect us from what do I really feel? What's really going on inside? What are my emotions? How do I really feel about myself, my life, my purpose, where I'm going? And I think to live a happy life, an authentic life, we have to connect. And I think sometimes we can use and be used. We end up being used and can use technology as a distraction from what we really feel. And that's where I think there's a downside. So I think it's important that sometimes we disconnect from technology. I call it a digital detox. At least I was going to say, in the ideal world, one day a week, I would advise everyone, take a digital detox, take a day off. Your emails will be there. Your friends will still, those that love you will still love you. Your social media everything will still be where it is when you come back. And I think then you can have some perspective on yourself, perspective on your life. And many times technology causes us to focus so intensely on certain things that much of which isn't always that important, that when you can have the perspective, then you can see the bigger picture for your life. And from that place, feel what you really feel the truth of what you really feel. And I think one of the last thing I'll say is one of the things that keep my clients stuck, keep people stuck, I found, are all the ways we're constantly, I'll just say, lying to ourselves. All the ways we're not telling the truth to ourselves, and the danger becomes technology. Sometimes, when we're used by it, can become a way to distract ourselves from the truth of what we feel, and that's when it becomes dangerous.
Is there any relationship between the people that you work with that come from, let's say, a more socially, technologically, culturally advanced society or part of the world, and their ability and their available time to explore some of these self-potential issues you're talking about versus those that come from maybe a background where economically it's a little bit more of a struggle, culturally there are certain restrictions and norms are not quite as liberal? What about that?
Yeah, I find that, those who obviously have more resources financially, technologically, what have you, on some level, have the space because they're not thinking about necessarily basic survival needs, like how am I going to eat? How am I going to survive? How am I going to pay the rent tomorrow? So it can free up time and attention and energy to focus on the bigger picture ideas, to focus on the ideas of why am I here and what is my purpose? And that helps. But the danger becomes, I work with many folks who come to me who have all of that. They have the multi-million-dollar house, some have jets, some, have huge companies, and, they'll never have to work for, the rest of their lives and their children and generations on and on. And they're still miserable. They're still unhappy. And sometimes success in that way can be a trap that disconnects us from who we are because we get so identified with it. And on the flip side, in places like India, which is really what my book, one of the things that is a big thread throughout my book and has really inspired me, because I went to India in search of happiness. And I went to India and literally ended up in some of the poorest places in the world. And sure, I won't deny, yes, people are challenged. There's lots of people that don't have food, that don't have shelter, that their basic needs aren't met, and necessarily they aren't asking themselves the question, what is my purpose and how can I better myself? On the flip side of that, that is the case. On the flip side of that, places like India are where I saw such, because they didn't have a lot of stuff, at least some folks, didn't have a lot of stuff and things and material things and money and a bank account and what have you, it caused an orientation to life to be different, to be less about things, to be less about the ego, to be less about external success. And what I found was a tremendous heart, a tremendous spirit, a tremendous camaraderie, even in that wasn't dependent on the things outside. And so even in the slums, there's a story in my book where I talk about taking the client to the slums of India. Even in the slums of India, I remember seeing a friend of mine who lives in the biggest slum in Asia called the Ravi, in his entire family, him, his wife, his 3 children, his parents, all live in an 8x10 room. And when I asked him the question the first time 15 years ago, are you happy? He looked at me like I was crazy, like what kind of question was that? Of course we're happy. We have everything. So I think from that place, sometimes also you could say the poverty, not having certain resources outside, forces someone to tap into an inner resilience, an inner resourcefulness, forces someone to tap into a deeper sense of meaning, even if it's not conscious, that is not dependent on the things and external things outside. So I think there's a beauty in that as well. That's a different kind of learning, a different kind of evolution, and I think it's important that we remember what's important. And I think many folks in situations like that end up remembering what's important, have a deep spirituality, have a deep connection with God, with life, with nature, because they don't have anything else, Yeah.
In the work that you do you work primarily with individuals or do you work with groups or couples? Share some of those different things that you do.
Sure. In my work, I first started out working one-on-one, and that's really what I got known for. Is about 15 years ago, I started my one-on-one transformational coaching business and transformed one person's life, next person transformed, and my reputation grew simply because of the incredible results that people were experiencing with my work. And then it grew. Then it went to smaller groups and then retreats, and so I work one-on-one with a select group of clients now, less so. And then I also, I do 2 journeys a year to Bali, where I bring in leaders and visionaries from around the world who want to transform, go to the next level, which is based on my journeys, my original one-on-one journeys to India that I talk about in my book. And I do something like that twice a year. It's a transformational journey for 12 days in Bali, and I use Bali as the seminar room without walls to unplug people, to detox people from technology and themselves so that they can really find their purpose and reconnect with themselves. And then, then I do larger group events in terms of seminars and speaking in companies and all around the world. So I do do a whole bunch of different things, and now using media as a vehicle in terms of my book, and we're working on TV stuff. So part of my vision, Warner, is to inspire a new generation, inspire the masses, inspire everyone now to rethink life and ask some of the questions that I asked. I went to India 15, 16 years ago, shaved my head, put everything in storage, and I decided I wasn't going to come back until I found certain answers for myself, until I found a source of happiness. And as I traveled, asking myself, who am I and why am I here and what's my purpose, came to find certain answers for myself. One of the things that really shifted me, that I share with my clients, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's in groups, whether it's in small groups, large groups, is one of the things that really shifted me, that I had to realize as I traveled to some of these, poorer countries, was no one's coming. No one is. I realized how entitled I was, how some folks who had nothing were so happy, and I started to see how I live in America, I live in Los Angeles, I live in the West, I have so much opportunity, and here I was complaining and moaning and groaning and not truly appreciating everything that I had access to, all the resources, all the technology, all the opportunities. Sure, my life wasn't perfect. Sure, I didn't have tons of money at that time, but I saw how entitled I was, and then my entire perspective, my entire paradigm shifted, because from that moment, I realized no one's coming. I realized, literally no one is coming. No one owes me anything. And that moved me into a state of radical gratitude. And I think I just encourage everyone listening in to live in a constant state each day of just radical gratitude. We're alive. God owes us nothing. Our parents owe us nothing. They've given us life. We have breath. And from that, we have the resources to create an authentic life. Maybe not the life we thought we wanted, but a truly authentic life where we can give and serve. And I think one of the things I realized on my journeys that I teach my clients is one of the secrets to life is not about getting and getting more, which is great if we do get our dreams. But I think one of the secrets is giving, and giving our gifts and living our purpose.
Again, we're with Kute Blackson, revolutionary teacher, speaker, entrepreneur, inspires countless thousands around the world. Exciting new work called You Are the One, all about you. Kute, there's a quote in here that says, looking for your life purpose is like a fish in the ocean looking for water. Expound on that a little bit.
It's one of my favorite quotes. You just plucked it right out. I think so often we're looking. A lot of clients come to me because they're looking for their life purpose. What's my life purpose? What's my life purpose? What's my life purpose? And I found a lot of people waiting to give their gift, waiting till they're retired, waiting till they have enough money, waiting until some, I call it, illusory fantasy moment in the future that many times often never comes. Or if it does come, it's a way of constantly postponing what we're here to do. And so I use that term that you just shared because I think it's not about waiting. If you're looking for your life purpose, I actually believe it's a waste of time. We have to actually find a way to live it now. And some people say, I don't know what my life's purpose is. I don't know what it is. I think there's a part of us deep down inside that knows. If how do we kind of get in touch with it? I think if you look at a few things, if you look at your experience, often I found that people's experiences, whether it's pain, successes, failures, heartbreaks, traumas, all of one's life experience, I feel kind of uniquely prepare us with certain perspectives, certain lenses, certain viewpoints. So our experience uniquely prepares us. I mean, it makes sense that I'm not like out there selling cars for a living or have a string of restaurants or nightclubs. I'm in you could say, spiritual, transformational self-help field, and that's kind of a foundational element of my experience growing up. So look at your experience, look at what you're innately good at, what comes second nature to you, because that is a gift. Many times you don't realize that's a gift. I'm good at organizing, I'm good at XYZ. It's a gift. There's lots of people that aren't good at that. That can kind of point you in the direction of finding your life purpose. I'd also say look at the community or the groups of people that you resonate with, that kind of that you have an affinity to, that you have a compassion to. Is it homeless people? Is it poor people? Is it executives in corporate America? Is it single mothers, single women? That often gives you a point in the direction of where your purpose might be. The other thing is, what problems are you really great at solving? So I think if you look at those questions questions that points people in terms of the direction of their life's purpose, but also rather than waiting, I encourage people to take a step. Even if you don't have to know and have defined on a piece of paper or in a short mission statement what your life purpose is, but all you have to do is feel the impulse, the direction of where your passion is, and answer those 4 questions and move in the direction. And what I found is when you take a step, then you take another step, then you take another step. Each step will reveal itself to you and will reveal what is necessary next. And what I have found is you will end up living into your life's purpose, because to me, ultimately, the purpose of life, I feel, is to grow and evolve and become who we really are, to grow and evolve and fulfill our potential as human beings, as souls, and to then share that through the living of our life purpose and giving our gifts to the world. So that's why I say stop looking for it. It's right here in this moment. Every single opportunity of your life is an opportunity to, in quotation marks, live your life purpose.
Well, again, the work is You Are the One. Kute Blackson has done remarkable work, and not only in the book itself, but also with working with individuals and groups around the world, helping find purpose, helping find meaning, and realizing potential. As we start to wind down here, any last word of advice, so to speak, or some directional thoughts you could give our listeners as we start to close out?
Absolutely. The one thing I'll just say is, remember, no one owes you anything. Take full responsibility for your life. Give up any sense of entitlement and live in a state of complete gratitude. A couple of other things I'll say is realize that you are not necessarily who you think you are. I think part of being happy is living an authentic life, so we have to question, who am I? Question, who am I? Who am I really? Is this what I really believe? What do I really want? The other thing is, one of the things I've seen that keeps people stuck, Warner, is all the ways we lie to ourselves. So the question I would invite people what I would invite people as a practice to get into on a daily basis is telling the truth to yourself, feeling the truth, acknowledging the truth, and telling the truth to ourselves, because sometimes we're afraid of the truth because we're afraid of what will happen if I'm really honest about what I feel and about my relationship, about my life. So get in the practice of telling the truth. I say happiness is quite easy. It's simple. Feel the truth, tell the truth, live the truth. Last thing I'll say is leave everyone with a question. What if today was the last day of your life? What if this day, today, was the last day of your life? And some people might say, Kute, that's a little dramatic, come on. But I'll tell you, the folks in 9/11 had no idea they wouldn't come home that night and be able to look their loved ones in the eyes and say, I love you. The folks in the New Orleans or the Southeast Asian tsunami had no idea they wouldn't come home that day and say, please forgive me. So life is short. We never know when that moment is going to come. So realize that and love fully. Be yourself. Give your gifts. There is no time to waste. Every second of our life is an opportunity, and life owes us not another breath, so make the most of the one you have. Where can people pick up a copy of the book, Kute, and where can they find out more about the work you do? Yes, they can pick up the copy, obviously, through Amazon. Anywhere, just go to Amazon, type in my name, Kute Blackson, type in You Are the One. They can also go to the book website where I'm giving away 6 free gifts. I'm giving away a video. I'm giving away a ticket to a live event, a one-day live event, and also my book tour. They can go to www.youarethonebook.com. They can also find out about my work, about my journeys, my group journeys to Bali at boundlessblissbali.com, and apply if they feel called. And also my main website, kuteblackson.com, and there's some free giveaways there they can find out. And I look forward to connecting with anyone who feels inspired in some way. Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you for the work you do. It is all very positive, all very inspiring, and you're working to make the world a better place, and we appreciate that. Best of luck, and would love to have you come back on and give us an update on what you're up to. Sounds great, Warren. It's been a real pleasure. Really appreciate your heart and authenticity and curiosity today. You bet. We will be back with more right after this on Lewis at Large.